Welcome to Success from Scratch, your place for innovation, creativity, and the blueprint of success from peak performers just like you. Welcome to Success from Scratch, episode number 38, with my special guest from Austin, Texas, Amy Miner. Amy, welcome.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Hey, I'm so glad you're here and able to join us today. Now, before we get started, I heard you just took a trip to France and had a wonderful time.
Yes, we just got back 2 days ago. It was my husband's very first time overseas at all. It was wonderful.
Now, did you bring the kids?
We did not. It was awesome.
So it was husband-wife time alone in France. That's kind of romantic. And
yes, it was all those things.
now, I heard you've been making affirmations, and while you were there in France, one of these affirmations came true.
Yes. So I'm a big mindset, personal growth and development junkie. And I've read this book, You're a Badass and You're a Badass at Making Money, which are awesome books. And one of them is, having a better relationship with money, essentially. So one of my affirmations is I'm a money magnet. I attract money, thank you, gratitude towards money. And so while we were in France, I had a referral fee to sort of appear out of nowhere that I didn't even know was coming to me. It just sort of appeared in my bank account. And it was just this really wonderful moment of like, yeah, affirmations work.
Wow. And probably helped make France a little more fun.
It did. My husband was very excited.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, hey, we've got a lot to talk about and a little bit of time. So let's get right into it. Now, before real estate, I know you grew up and lived in Germany and were involved in theater. And we have a common trait with theater and arts. My youngest son, Andrew, was really big into theater and drama, actually an improv guy who's
nice.
Does really well. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you got into real estate.
Nice. Well, yeah, I started in theater when I was in high school. I toured a show called The Fantastics in Germany. We did like little courtyards and castles and things. Amazing experience. I got into real estate 3 years ago. I dabbled my toe into entrepreneurship through Mary Kay Cosmetics, which I loved throwing the parties of the great salesmen. I quickly became a director in Mary Kay, and I was kind of looking for something a little more. And I had sort of unconventionally reached out to a client of mine. I found women that were successful or business owners or CEOs, and I was like, well, they're going to have friends that are like them. So I was reaching out to friends of friends, essentially, and one of them was a real estate agent. And so I met with her, and she was kind of eyeing me like I was a piece of candy the whole time. And I was like, what is happening here? And at the end, she was like, oh, you have got to go into real estate. You'd be amazing. And she just kept on me and followed up. And I knew nothing about real estate. I didn't know any realtors other than my brief experience with her. So I truly started from absolute scratch.
Wow. So you are success from scratch. And three years later now, you're going to help 20 families buy, sell, or invest in real estate. 3 years ago, you started with zero. And what a great story. So even though it's been a short 3 years, there's a lot of things to unpack. Now, as the CEO of your own business, and you're familiar with that, I love Mary Kay. Every time I drive to Dallas, I drive by the Mary Kay headquarters. Yeah. And in fact, I was over at the Shops of Legacy the other day and happened to, I was having dinner by myself, and the lady sitting next to me happened to be one of the senior executives of Mary Kay, and I got to learn all kinds of cool things about that organization. So I know you have a good background.
Yes, and the female empowerment in that company is amazing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, you could really tell that. But you have a coach yourself as a CEO of your own business. You recently hired a coach. You just got off a coaching call, right?
Yes, I did. She gave me a wonderful checklist of just like, we're doing the mayor campaign and sorting through the database and mailing out my first item of value. I went to see Brian Buffini's success tour last month, and it was fascinating for him to put these numbers up of, this is what the average agent makes, period, and this is what the average coaching client makes, and then to actually walk around the room and talk to agents who are doing that was just so inspiring. It was like, wow, this is real. This is like real.
It's real. And so there's three things you've got to have deadlines on them, yes?
Yes. Sorting the database, mailing out my first item of value, and scheduling my first vendor lunch and then 2 client meetings.
Cool. Awesome.
Oh.
So let's get into a little bit about you. I know you've talked to me a lot about you're a mindset person. You've done mindset, mastermind, and podcasts. So tell us all about that in terms of your routines.
So when I first got into real estate, I was reading Think and Grow Rich, and a friend of mine who is a financial advisor happened to be also reading the same book, and we ran into each other at a place. And he was like, "Oh, have you gotten to the mastermind section yet? Let's form a mastermind group." So we formed a group with artists who are also, successful business owners, and we were at all kinds of different phases in our businesses. And there were no other realtors in the group, and no other duplicates of any profession. And we would just do a Zoom call actually every Friday morning at like 6 a.m. It was some crazy time. And we would just sort of unpack and talk through business ownership, mindset, just everything, anything we wanted to talk about. And it was amazing. And I mean, I truly contribute me getting on the right steps forward from that group. It was amazing. I also have a running buddy. She's also a JPAR agent. We check in with each other all the time, and we're just constantly encouraging each other. If I ever have a moment of extreme high or extreme low, she's my first go-to. And then when I first started, there was a woman on my team who had the business family balance worked out. And I saw so many women that were sacrificing their families to be successful realtors. And I knew right away that was not the path I wanted to choose. And so I sort of latched onto her and was like, "You're my mentor now." So right. She's been instrumental in sort of teaching me the ropes. And whenever I have moments of, should I be doing this or should I be doing this? She's my go-to. She's also a JPAR agent. And
so part of your success, if you've surrounded yourself with what I call models, role models, and we'll get later into your marketing and mindset, but you've surrounded yourself with models that you can emulate. You have a coach, you have a mentor, and you have an accountability buddy. I'd love to see everyone in JPAR do what you're doing with mastermind groups. I believe the audience, if you're listening and you're not in a mastermind group, please create one. It only needs 1, 2, or 3 people. You can meet in one of our offices. You can meet through Zoom. There's really no excuse to not have a mastermind group, right, Amy?
No, they're wonderful. And I'd love to be in another one. That one, ran its course, and now I'm ready kind of for another one. So if anybody wants to be in a mastermind, I'm game.
Good. Well, and sometimes we think that these mastermind groups, they run their courses and they have a natural life cycle, and they don't have to last forever. Some do, some don't. So great. So tell us a little bit about your daily routines. How you prepare for the week and the day.
I'm a huge mindset person. So I do the Miracle Morning, which is affirmations and gratitude and workout and meditation. And that's kind of how I start my morning, 30 to 45 minutes. Gets me on the right page. I'm, like I said, a personal growth and development junkie. So podcasts are, Brian Buffini podcast is my number one go-to. Whenever I'm driving anywhere or have a few minutes, I plug that in. And then, I win the day. I have the Brian Buffini CRM, and I'm a big, set a goal in front of me, and I'm like, let's go. So I just win the day, and it's just a little bit every day. In fact, I had a personal tragedy this year. My father passed away in the beginning of the summer and had a stroke, and it was just this awful process for a good month and a half. But Brian Buffini teaches you taught me to keep one oar in the water. And I think having that mindset and doing the Miracle Morning and winning the day, even when I didn't feel like it, even when things were bad and I was in the hospital for 12 hours, I still kept one oar in the water and was able to, still achieve the goals that I set.
Well, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I haven't shared this with you, but I lost my father Tuesday night. And
no.
I'm heading out, actually right after this interview, I'm heading out to head to Colorado for those services. So sorry for your loss. And I know what you're going through, but keeping that one oar in the water, all of the coaches teach that, and you're doing that through your CRM. Mm-hmm. You obviously have a strong discipline around your CRM. Tell us about that.
I think the Buffini CRM, I sort of dabbled with various ones. The Buffini one to me is easy to use because I open it up and it tells me what to do. I sat down with my coach and we set the goals and we set the numbers that I need to hit. And then it's just doing what it tells me to do every day.
Good. Yeah, very simple. So whether it's the Buffini CRM, contextually is very Buffini-like, our KV Core, which is free as part of the brokerage. Here's what we know. A system will produce what a system will produce, nothing less, nothing more. You have to have a system. And all of us relate to one CRM versus the other. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. Find the one like you have that works for you and just work it. Yes?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So tell us a little bit about your marketing and how you're approaching the marketplace to generate the leads to help 20 families this year.
I do open houses on Saturdays or Sunday, depending. I typically will door knock around my open house, and I do my phone calls. That's my marketing. I'm pretty active on social media. I don't really consider that necessarily income generating activities, but I stay present. So when I walk into a group of my friends, they're like, "Oh man, I saw you sold the house last week." So they kind of keep abreast of what's going on and what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So the social media part has a purpose for you, but it's not an income generating activity. It's probably more of an awareness and branding activity.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, what would you like to share with the audience? Is there one thing, if you had to start over, what would you do differently?
I would hire a coach sooner, definitely.
Right.
I would have a better, when I was first starting out, there was a lot of indecision about, which CRM should I use? Which this should I, and when I first started out, I met a lot of people that probably would have turned into business later on. And I just didn't have a system in place to track them. And I feel like I lost a lot of people along the way. And I think one of the most important things that I do now is that my family's on board. I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old and a husband. And when I first got into real estate, they were just like, what is happening? Because, we have ups and downs financially, time-wise. Sometimes we're at dinner or a birthday party and it's like, Mom's got to go. And, I'm racing out. And so I think getting them on board, and we do that through family meetings. On Sundays, we sit down and we have family meetings. And just having them understand what it is that I do, where the money comes from, the ups and downs of it all. And we also write thank you notes, talk about gratitude. It's been a game changer for me, those family meetings and getting the family on board.
So let's walk through that a minute. What I heard you say is you have a weekly family meeting, just like you have a weekly business meeting with your mastermind group or whatever. You're having a weekly family meeting. What a great idea, treating your family just as important with a meeting, right, as you do your business. So you had this weekly family meeting. How did that start? How did you learn about that? How long have you been doing it?
We've been doing it for about 6 months. I think I heard Brian Buffini talk about it one time because he talks about his family a lot on his podcast. And it was difficult to get my 7-year-old on board initially. Because we do 3 things that happened this week that you're grateful for, and you have to write a thank you note to someone. And so getting him to sort of follow it took a little while. I'm saying don't try it one time and be like, this didn't work. It takes a little while to get everyone on the right page, but it's been amazing. And everyone looks forward to it now. We play a family game afterwards, usually like a dominoes game. Yeah, it's good family time.
So you just reminded me of my mother, who I lost several years ago as well, who did a very similar thing with me. So taught me how to write thank you notes. So, you're creating a legacy and your children one day will remember that like I just did and thank her for that skill she taught me. Yeah, so amazing. So good. Family meeting. All right. Well, this has been really powerful for our audience. I know they're going to pick up a lot of great tips from this. Have you ever, as we wrap up, have you ever wanted to throw in the towel? Walk away from it all and go back to theater?
This summer, again, going through personal tragedy was very difficult.
Right.
But it actually did the opposite. It made me so grateful for a career where I can be in a hospital working, or, take a week or two. I remember showing a house the day after my father passed, and they knew, and it was fine. And, and I was so grateful for, the opportunities of real estate and the flexibility that it offers. We're actually going to start fostering children in the fall. We have our home visit next week. And again, just so grateful that, this is a career where I can do that. If I needed to take a child with me to an appointment, I could totally do that, and it wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's amazing. All the great things that you're able to do. Have you found anything that's particularly challenging for you? How did you get over that personal tragedy and still keep that one oar in the water? How did you work through that mentally? Was it just a decision you made? You just decided that, hey, I've got to deal with my father, but I've also got to continue my business because I'm the breadwinner.
Yeah, exactly. It was just, and honestly, winning the day is not difficult. It's making 5 phone calls and writing 2 cards and having a couple of conversations. It's really not a difficult thing. So just recognizing that if I just keep one foot in front of the other, we're going to get through this. We'll get to tomorrow. We'll get to next week. We'll get to next month, and it'll be better.
Yeah, that's great. Well, awesome. So any last minute words of advice or tips, tricks, short stories or parables, jokes for the audience before we wrap up?
No, I highly recommend getting a running buddy. I think that's been just a great, just an accountability buddy, just somebody that I can call. Because, my husband, I talk to him about real estate, his eyes start to glaze over so fast. But having somebody that I can call.
Yeah, running buddy, workout buddy, coffee buddy, accountability group for sure. I really want to challenge the JPAR network, and those of you listening outside JPAR, get inside or start a small group of 2 or 3 like-minded folks that you can meet with once a week. I know here in the Frisco office, Rick does one every Friday at 9 o'clock. There's just get into a group. I think that's a big tip from you. Amy, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Mark. This was really fun. Yeah,
super, super fun. And, I'll be down in San Antonio in a few weeks and in Austin. I'll be going to both locations, trying to get down there once a month. So look forward to seeing you on my next trip. And we'll see you soon on the next episode of Success from Scratch.